Yo, what is going on, guys? J.Yumeko here, and today we're back with some more of The Shell Part 1, Inferno. So, last time we left off, we finally started getting really into depth, in terms of, like, actually getting to investigate our crime scenes and getting to further investigate the bodies of the victims. So, we have now positively identified both of them. They are both from Obergirls Academy, and so now this has kind of turned into a thing where we've ended up getting a quote-unquote job at Obergirls Academy as a lecturer, but we're actually there to investigate the root cause of why these girls disappeared, who killed them, yada 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 yada. So that's kind of where we're at right now. I was told by one of you guys that there actually is like a whole ledger and everything. Let me just load it real quick, see if I can pull it up. Kei Koizumi, she was one of the students killed. She was actually the student that we saw killed in the little cutscene where she got her arm chopped off and then her womb torn out. So this was her. She disappeared on March 1st, and she was discovered at Thomas Cemetery. She had her foot sticking up out of the ground, and it was lit on fire. At the very least, one of these two girls, either Yui or Haruka, is the body that we found chopped up. But I'm pretty sure, but yeah, no, Kei is the one that we've confirmed so far. So one of these girls here is probably going to be actively missing, and we're going to have to find her. More accurately, find her body, because she's probably going to be killed. All right, let's just jump right back into it, I guess. I woke up. My drowsy mind struggled to return to reality as I carefully surveyed my surroundings. Oh yeah, that's right. I spent the night in my office. I freed myself from the blanket's warm embrace and rose to my feet. My joints were killing me. The closer to 30 I got, the harder it was to sleep anywhere but on a proper futon. Depressing. I would have loved nothing more than to go home, but my busy work schedule refused to cooperate. Though part of it was simply that I didn't like taking the last train home when people were on it, often stuffed together like sardines. And I'd hate that too. I picked the package up off my desk and left the agency. I think we're going to give something to Uomi, the other detective. It was a rather warm day, a sign that spring was just around the corner. A lot of pedestrians were wearing lighter clothing too. The first storms of spring would be at our doorsteps any week now. That thought crossed my mind as I looked at a girl in a short skirt. Anyway, it's off to Ueno. Yeah, buddy, what are you doing looking at that? I don't blame you, brother. I don't blame you, brother. It'd be a simple trip if I took the Yamada line from Shinjuku Station. But on my way, I suddenly noticed a crowd gathering in front of Kinokuniya. Dozens of teenage girls were staring at the storefront. What's this all about? I took a closer look and saw that their eyes were trained on a sign that read Shin Katsuragi, book release party. Shin Katsuragi. Couldn't say I've heard of him. Must have been a new author. Did he write last year's Seasons of the Sun? No, wait, that was Shintaro Ishihara. Either way, standing there amongst all those teenagers was making me feel older by the second. Thus, I decided to quit dawdling and head for Ueno. I made my way to an office at the building in front of Ueno Station.
Takashiro, iru ka?
I tapped on the door and strolled right on in without waiting for an answer. Oh my god. Okay, right into it, baby. A bizarre smell assaulted my nose the moment I dropped in. And a second later, I saw a man collapse before me. Whoa, hold your horses, Reiji. Don't jump the gun. Take a good look around and figure out what happened first. Well, here's our murder weapon, clearly. Okay, we're going left to right here. If I didn't know any better, I would have thought a hurricane ravaged this room. Not even a thief or burglar could have made such a mess. It was just as bad as my office. So in other words, it was habitable. Maybe I should clean up after myself every once in a while. Okay, nothing on these shelves looks like. Crumpled tissues were scattered across the floor. It took less than a second for me to determine that I'd rather not dwell on what they signified. Yeah. Yeah. Just as messy as my office. Probably just gonna be, yeah, just as messy as my office. Alright, just make sure we don't miss anything. Let's check up top here. A beckoning cat. I'd heard that its raised right forepaw was meant to bring financial success, but did it really work? Probably not, considering its owner was currently sprawled out atop a desk. Though things would probably get a bit better once his wife was back on stage. Let's see, anything else here? Nothing on the chair. Gizmos in my office. More tissues. Let's check out his desk over here. A triangular nameplate was sitting on the desk. It read, Detective. Did he think his clients were goldfish or something? And I think now all we have to check is the body and murder weapon. A glass cup was next to the man. Its bottom remained the sticky residue of some sort of red liquid. It was likely the culprit behind that funky stench. A man lay spread eagle across the table. I recognized his face. Of course I did. I came to see him after all. But this was the last thing I'd expected to find. In any case, a little more investigation was clearly warranted. Can I check his body more? The time had come to address the elephant in the room. Why was he laid out on the table like that? It almost looked like he passed out drunk, but his face and chest made it apparent something odd had definitely happened. In any case, a little more investigation is clearly warranted. Okay, so I guess I can't check his body yet? Clearly not, okay. We're investigating. Oh, I had to click on his chest, okay. A red liquid blemished the man from mouth to chest. Whatever it was, it likely dribbled out of his mouth and just soaked his clothes, sparring the table. Most people would conclude he'd been murdered just from looking at him in his state. An unusual scent hung in the air. I knew this guy was an idiot, but this really took the cake. Maybe he's not dead. Maybe he's just not dead. Oh man, he's gonna catch hell for this. Honestly, investigating any further would be a waste of time. Okay, so I guess that's it. I don't see anything else that's gonna give me any kind of a different prompt here. So, we'll end investigation. Let's just get this over with. Oh, he's alive, okay. I slid off my right shoe, hoisted my leg, and took aim. Though I could have left it on, I figured I should show him some mercy.
Oi, Takashiro. Okiro.
And with that, I planted an axe kit right into his solar plexus. The man, Shugo Takashiro, jolted to his feet with a shriek.
トマトジュース飲みながら寝てるんじゃねえよ。
This guy's just casually drinking tomato juice? What? Okay. Shugo finally got off the table.
時坂か。久しぶりだな。
The two of us had known each other since the war. We'd even both joined the police force at the same time and had subsequently quit, though me a bit sooner.
で、ごめんカズナってなんだ?
Seriously, just what the hell kind of life did those two lead?
なんか用か。
I chucked the package at him, shaking my head at his blatant attempt to dodge my question.
こいつを預かってきた。夏目さんから。
夏目から。
Shugo instinctively hurled the package right back at me the second he heard his sister's name.
いらない。お前にやる。さあ、早く持って行っちまってくれ。
俺がもらってどうすんだよ。
I shoved the package back into his hands.
遠慮するなって。
いらんもんはいらん。
そう言うなよ。俺を助けると思って。
じゃあ夏目さんに言っておくぞ。
いや、それはさらにまずい。そんなことが夏目に知れた日にはどんな目に遭わされるか。
Never in my life had I seen this man's face twist in such visceral terror. Not that I blamed him, mind you. I couldn't even begin to imagine the sort of nightmares Natsume would put her kid brother through.
で、何が入ってるんだ?
Shugo meekly took the package inside.
どうせろくでもないもんだろう。
He reluctantly opened it. Inside was a letter, along with a gray rectangular block. Yeah, it had to be. No doubt about it.
なんでこんなものを。
Conjack. Oop. Let me give this letter a read. The best konjac in Shimo Ninamacha Gunma.
カズナ藩は身重やさかい。シュウちゃんが一人で慰めるときはぜひ使おうとくれやす。なんだそりゃ。
Choke the chicken.
さすがは夏目さんだな。
That
見ろよ。
is a
こんにゃくにしっ
crazy
かりと切れ目
fucking
まで
gift
入
to
ってる
give you,
ぞ。
brother. Hey, I know your wife is pregnant as fuck, so here's a big block of konjac with a hole in it. Basically the Meiji area equivalent of sending them like a fucking sex doll or a fleshlight.
うちの一族は夏姉も奈々も何を考えてやがるんだか。
妹さんも何かくれたのか。
Nana was Shugo's kid sister. Apparently, she was just as much of a character as their older sibling.
奈々のやつ、自分のヌード写真集なんか送りつけてきやがった。
聞きしに勝る変態ぶりだな。
What the fuck, dude? You know, it's at times like this that I think we can all really appreciate that Yukari's normal, right? So his older sister is sending him fleshlights, basically, and his younger sister is just straight up sending him nudes of herself. An album
カズナ
of
は
nudes.
カンカンに怒るしよ。
私が何に怒ってるんですか？
Shugo twitched upon hearing that looming voice from behind.
うわ、ごめんカズナ。
He fell to his knees and cowered. Seriously, what was up with them? In any case, I turned around, ignoring the dimwit.
やあ、カズナさん。お邪魔していますよ。
あ、時坂さんじゃないですか。お久しぶりです。
This woman was Kazuna Takashiro, née Kozuki. She was a famous stage actress and Shugo's wife, though I'd heard she was currently on maternity leave due to her pregnancy.
随分と大きくなりましたね。
The swelling in her abdomen was evident even through all those bulky clothes.
ええ、もう6ヶ月になりますから。
なるほど。上の方は相変わらずのようですけれど。
Her bust was a pitiful sight, even with all those layers blanketing it. Very tactful, Reggie, very tactful.
おい、時坂。
Shugo snarled and seized my shoulders in an uncharacteristic show of rage. Did I push my luck?
バカ野郎。俺だってな、毎晩頑張って揉んでるんだぞ。それなのに、カズナの腕は相変わらず成長しやがらないんだよ。
What is this conversation? How the hell was he expecting me to respond to that?
おかげで俺の握力ばかり強くなって、肩にリンゴが握りつぶせるようになっちまったよ。
シュウゴさん、何バカなこと言ってるんですか？
ごめんカズナ。
Shugo instantly begged for mercy. For the love of... I know it's my fault for derailing the conversation and all, but I'll never understand these two, I swear. That is one hell of just a general dynamic that this man has with his familial relations. I mean, geez, from the sisters to the wife, I mean, good lord. The three of us got to chatting, and it was evening before we even knew it.
そういえば、お二人が警察を辞めたきっかけって何だったんですか？
Shugo and I froze at Kazuna's innocuous question.
どうしたんですか？
Kazuna glanced at us quizzically as she held a bowl of miso fried
あ
konjac.
まりいい思い出ではないからね。
The very konjac that would have been used for very devious activities otherwise.
そうだな。
Shugo nodded. Though it haunted me every day of my life, I preferred to avoid thinking about the Rokushiki case, the incident that made me leave the force whenever I could help it.
この話はやめておこう。
Shugo gently placed his hand on Kazuna's shoulder and changed the subject. I don't think they fully explained to us why exactly that case fucked us up so badly. Like, I know he mentioned something. Oh, no, I'm thinking of something else. But yeah, I don't think we've gotten that fully fleshed out yet.
すまんな。
Shugo knew I still didn't want to talk about it. He'd been on the case with me back in the day, so he was well aware of the harrowing personal anguish it brought me.
いや何？ 久しぶりに話ができて楽しかったよ。
It felt like it was about time for me to make an exit. I wasn't barbaric enough to get in the way of their alone time.
それじゃあ高城、また来るわ。
ああ、またな。
また来てくださいね。お待ちしていますから。
What was that? Cousin was eating the konjac.
時坂さんも食べますか？このお味噌、当時さんっていう友達からもらったんですよ。
いや、お構いなく。そいつにでも食べさせてやってください。
I knew it'd be best for everyone in the room if I didn't mention exactly what Natsume's original intentions for that thing were.
それでは、カズナさん、あまりそいつをいじめてやらないでくださいよ。
ちょっと修吾さん、時坂さんに何を吹き込んだんですか？
うわ、ごめんカズナ。
And that's my cue. It was pitch black out by the time I returned to Ueno.
ただいま。
おかえりなさい、兄さん。
Yukari. Yukari emerged from behind the kitchen.
まだ夕飯まで時間があるから、先にお風呂へ入っていてください。
ああ、そうするよ。
I hadn't been home for a full day, so a bath sounded really appealing.
明日から非常勤とはいえ講師になるんですか
Oh
ら、
yeah.
身だしなみはきちんと整えてくださいね。
わかってるさ。
All that aside, I knew I could benefit from at least shaving off my stubble. Excuse me. I soaked my exhaustion away and changed into a comfortable kimono. It's warm enough today that I didn't even need the brazier. With nothing else to do, I decided to relax and puff on some smokes until dinner was ready. It's March already, huh? The case had led me to quitting the force. Had it really been 6 years already since then? The city had been glacial and decorated with flecks of snow that day. It tore my heart to imagine just how cold she must have been.
兄さん、夕飯の準備が整いました。
My train of thought was cut short by Yukari's announcement.
ああ、今行くよ。
Someday we'll figure it out. I downed some coffee in the living room after dinner.
もう啓蟄も過ぎてしまいましたね。
ああ、確か今年は一昨日だったか。
そろそろ虫も土から出てきます。
Yukari sounded thrilled. I never met anyone as zealous about bugs as her. In fact, she was such a bug aficionado that she even let snails hibernate in her room.
冬は虫が表に出てきませんから、あまり好きではありません。
それに、
そろそろユキコさんの。
Yukiko. Yukari's voice was as imperceptible as mosquitoes. Oh, Yukiko Miyama, my former fiancé. 6 years ago in March 1950, she was...
そろそろ寝ます。兄さん、おやすみなさい。
ああ、おやすみ。
Yukari hightailed him back to her room. My descent into silence must have made her feel quite uncomfortable. Not that I could blame her. Guess I'll turn into... Okay, so that case 6 years ago clearly had to do with our fiancé.
それじゃあゆかり、俺は先に行くけれど、くれぐれも。
Do we have that? No, okay. I figured that because they mentioned her, we might have gotten her in our little index here.
分かっていますよ。兄さんは本当心配性なんですから。
Yukari giggled as she handed me my coat.
ああ、でも兄さんが私立探偵だということを知っている友人はいます。何分このような事態になるとは思いませんでしたから。
いや、それはいいさ。その友人にも俺のことを触れ回らないように念を押しておいてくれればいい。
ええ、わかりました。
じゃあ、また後でな。
いってらっしゃいませ、兄さん。
Alright. Obergirls Academy was in Hoya, which was a straight shot through Musashino from our home in Zenpuguchi. I passed by a baseball field and a former airplane factory turned US military lodgings before crossing the Senkawa Aqueduct to reach the academy. Girls garbed in white school uniforms solemnly proceeded down the road. Each of them passed through the school gates without uttering so much as a single word. That, combined with the shroud of fog, made it feel like they were part of some sort of funeral procession. They were all utterly bereft of passion. Yukari was pretty quiet, but this was just downright uncanny. The uniforms looked positively dreary. I began to have second thoughts about taking this job, but while I wasn't sure I could pull it off, I had to give it a shot. It's one of those academies, huh? I steeled myself and marched over to the gate. The A's building was clad in a bizarre, unsettling aura. What's more, the morning mist mantling it created the epitome of white darkness around me. Another student passed by me. She strolled right through the gate without even paying the slightest heed to a total stranger like me. It was almost as if she were one of the living dead. But that was no excuse to just sit around all day.
あ、時坂さん、よく来てくださいました。
Mr. Saiki greeted me the moment I entered the staff room.
おはようございます、佐伯さん。あ、いや、佐伯先生。
そんなにシャチほこばらなくても大丈夫ですよ。さて、今日は礼拝がありますので、その時にでも全学生に時坂先生を紹介いたしましょう。
That sort of formality wouldn't do my anxiety any favors. But hey, whatever it took to blend in. My introduction to the student body ended without incident, leaving me at one of the chapel's walls to watch the students listen to Mr. Saiki's speech. Everyone was as quiet as a mouse, and here I would have expected girls their age to be chit-chatting in hushed whispers when the teachers weren't looking. Still, there was something else I found more concerning. Everyone wore the same face as they listened to their vice principal. They all had different features and hairstyles, of course, but they appeared to be a part of a single collective, deprived of any individuality. I'd heard the place was strict, but I had no idea it was this stifling. The way they were bunched together and nearly indistinguishable to an outsider was much like an army. I searched the ranks for Yukari and nearly let out a bated breath. I hadn't even realized I'd been holding upon spotting her. Yukari didn't look any different from usual, but maybe that was because I saw her on our daily basis. She'd surely be just another face in the crowd to those who didn't know her.
皆様、ご清聴願います。
A commanding voice echoed through the chapel. I watched as a girl with long hair rose to the podium.
会長の月島織姫ですよ。
A nearby teacher helpfully filled me in.
近頃、当学院において誠に由々しき事態が発生しておりますが、このことに決して動揺せず、皆様が普段通りの行動を取られることを切に願います。
Her voice swept over the room even without the aid of a microphone. Some of her peers nodded repeatedly to her declarations, almost as though they were her servants. It seemed she was rather popular. Yukari watched her too, but didn't appear any different from usual. I returned to the staff room once the morning assembly concluded.
時坂先生には歴史科の準備教室を用意しました。
わかりました。授業はどうしましょうか。
That was about the biggest issue on my mind.
今日は結構ですよ。まずは明日、一回授業をお願いします。その後は必要に応じてということでよろしいですか。
ええ、構いませんよ。
それでは、こちらが現在行方不明となっている学生の資料です。
Saiki produced a large
お
envelope.
預かりします。
I took it and opened it up. Two photos were mixed in with a plethora of documents that included a staff address book.
この二人ですか。
Yui Nishizono and Haruka Imamura.
ええ、それではよろしくお願いいたします。
Alright. I excused myself and left the staff room. Students were streaming back and forth on the hallways. It must have been time for a break already. As I'd suspected, they all looked as glum and lifeless as they had at the morning assembly. Were the two girls who'd vanished just like them?
おはよう。
おはようございます。
Jesus Christ! The student bowed and passed right by me. Though she seemed receptive enough, she also appeared somewhat discomfited. And then again, the fact that I was a male teacher in an all-girls academy probably played a big part in that. She sounded really just devoid of any kind of will to live. The history prep room was in the corner of the second floor that was almost directly above the staff room. Finally, I could take a breather. I sat down and let my weight sink into the chair. Adjusting to a new environment sure was exhausting. Much as I wanted coffee, I knew it was a luxury I couldn't afford at present. Maybe there's a place on campus I can get some. That thought motivated me to tour the school. Alright, where to? Obergirls Academy was a two-story structure with the library, science rooms, and junior/senior classrooms on the second floor. On the other hand, the first floor housed the staff room, infirmary, home economics classroom, and freshman classrooms. There were also club rooms and an auditorium somewhere on campus. Ultimately, I decided to randomly stroll around and see what I could find.
時坂先生でよろしかったかしら？
I came to a halt not one step into my expedition. Though the voice that called out to me was feminine, it sounded far too old to be a student.
養護教諭の赤崎ねねです。
Hey,
時坂先生に校内を案内するよう教頭に頼まれまして。
I'm gonna tell you the truth, I am a detective. And I sure like to get some clues about you, baby girl. The school nurse. It's so good to see her again.
ああ、それはどうもご親切に。
気にしないで。私が一番暇だったからよ。
She giggled lightly, a hint of a smile on her face. This was the perfect time to get the grand tour of the school while also getting some answers. Dr. Akazaki guided me down the hallways. I spotted neither hide nor hair of any students. Classes must have been back in session. That said, I didn't hear a peep from the classrooms either.
静かですね。
でしょ？教育が行き届いてるのよ。
Her voice sounded somewhat unenthused.
私から見れば少し窮屈に思えるくらいにね。
赤崎先生？
ねねでいいわよ。ここの学院は、ね、
we're already on a first name
昔
basis.
からなのよ。しつけと規則が厳しくて学生を締め付けているわ。
なるほど。道理で皆おとなしいはずだ。
No, maybe gloomy was a better word for it.
驚いたかしら。
ええ、まあ。
あら、もうこんな時間。後でお茶でも入れて差し上げますから、保健室にいらしてくださいね。
God, she's so hot. What the fuck, man? Then they took her leave as soon as she heard the bell. Guess I'd better check elsewhere. It was with that thought that I decided to head outside. The shroud of fog had faded, revealing a sea blue sky between the clouds. Several buildings, likely for clubs, sat in the corners of the schoolyard. A brisk breeze sliced against my cheek. Brr. Man, I should have brought a coat. I hastily retreated back inside. Still freezing, I decided this would be the perfect time to take Nanny up on that tea. Wait, where is the infirmary? I surveyed the hallway, but all the doors appeared identical to me. I already knew where the staffing room was, but I couldn't very well just be indiscreetly opening doors, not when I risked interrupting a class. What to do?
どうかなさいましたか？
Someone called out to me from behind. I recognized that stoic voice. A quick turn revealed it was exactly who I'd expected, the girl who'd addressed her peers during the morning assembly.
月島さんでしたっけ？
そうです、時坂先生。このようなところで何をしていらっしゃるのですか？
She bowed elegantly as she dubiously regarded me. Not that I could blame her, mind you. Who could ever imagine a teacher getting
ああ、
lost?
ちょっと保健室を探していまして。
保健室でしたらすぐそこですよ。
Orihime pointed to a door next to the
あ
entrance.
あ、こんな近くにあったんだ。
Wow, talk about embarrassing.
それでは私はこれで失礼いたします。
Orihime gave me a curtsy before she left. She'd held herself just as temperately as back on the podium. I could tell she possessed some sort of quality that the rest of her peers lacked. Though I wouldn't call her full of beans, she at least still seemed like her own person. It appeared there was some individuality to be found after all.
失礼します。
I knocked on the door and entered the infirmary.
いらっしゃい、時坂先生。
どうも。
It's just me and
お
you,
茶を
Nene.
いただきに来ましたよ。
What we gonna get down to? What we gonna get up to, man? Come on.
どうぞ。
I obliged as she subsequently urged me to take a seat.
あまり上等なお茶ではありませんけどね。
Nene grinned as she started brewing some tea.
まあ、お茶を飲みに来たというのは建前ですがね。
あら、他に何かご用がおありなんですか？
She placed a teacup on the desk as she shot me a flirtatious look.
佐伯教頭から話は伺っていると思いますが。
Come on, bro. Come on, bro. Like, okay, don't get me wrong. I get he's all traumatized about his fiance, but come on, bro.
ええ、もちろん。事件の捜査に探偵がやってくる。そう聞いておりますよ。
I reciprocated with a smile of my own and bashfully scratched my cheek.
まあ、話が早くて助かりますけれどね。
I gulped down the hot tea and straightened up in my seat.
行方不明になっている2人の学生。
1年末組の西園さんと椿組の今村さんね。特に問題のある子ではなかったと思うわよ。
そうですか。
Meaning they were probably as subdued as the rest.
もっとも私はただの養護教諭だからあまり詳しくは知らないんですけどね。
いえ、助かります。何分こういう環境で調査するのは初めてでして。
周りに若い子ばかりいる場所という。
いえ、外界と隔絶している環境。
My spine tingled from the momentary delusion that she'd read my mind.
難しいことを言うのね。でもそうね、当たっているのかもしれないわ。この学院の中は明らかに外と空気が違うもの。
自分もそう思いますよ。
いなくなったのもそんな生活が嫌になってしまったからかもしれないわね。
そういう捉え方もあるでしょうね。
She could very well have been right on the money. It was imprudent of me to just assume something terrible had happened to
い
them.
やはりここへ来て正解でした。
あらそう。
少し固まりかけていた頭をほぐすことができましたよ。ありがとうございます、赤崎先生。
ねえねえでいいと言いませんでしたか。
I didn't miss the exasperated smile that crossed her face. The hallways flooded with students once the closing bell rang. However, they seemed as docile as ever. If anything, they were even more adherent to the rules once classes ended. It was stifling to say the least. Regardless, if I was going to make a move, it would have to be now. Thus, I exited into the hallway. But no matter how many students I passed, not a single one made an effort to say a word to me. A select few favored me with polite bows, but most moved along without so much as a peep. This certainly wasn't looking great. How am I supposed to get any investigating done like this? Right as that thought passed through my mind, I caught sight of a girl in a corner of the schoolyard. Wait, isn't that? Maybe I can get something out of her. Something tells me we're about to run into Toko. And so, I decided to place my bets on that girl who carried herself with a different aura from the rest of the crowd. She glanced my way as soon as she saw me coming.
やあ、やっぱり会えたね、探偵さん。
The girl, Toko Kuchiki, spoke in the same masculine manner she'd flaunted the last time we'd met.
何をしているんだい？
言うまでもないと思わないかい？
Toko pointed at the canvas on our easel. Several lines cleaved through the white surface.
絵を描くのか。
I would have imagined she'd be working on a landscape painting, being outside and all, but it didn't seem like one no matter how I looked at it. What are you drawing, or is this a landscape painting? What are you drawing?
何を描いているんだい？
知りたいのかい？
That's why I asked. Toko gave me a puckish grin.
でも教えてあげないよ。というより、私にもなんだかわからないんだ。
わからない。
頭の中におぼろげなイメージはあるのだけれど、すごく曖昧なままなんだ。
曖昧な存在か。
まあいつになるかわからないけれど、書き上がったら見せてあげるよ。
はいはい。
Oh, brother. Give this girl an inch and she'll take a mile.
探偵さんはこの学院に何の調査で潜入したのかな？ひょっとして私を調べに来たの？
Toko met my gaze with an impish gleam in her eyes.
俺が探偵だということは秘密にしておいてくれないか？
遅かったね。もうトウコに話してしまったもの。
トウコ？
そう、トウコ。私の友達さ。
It took a second to realize she was talking about a friend with the same name as her.
仕方ない。その友達にも口止めしておいてくれ。
困るんだ。
Toko shot me the smallest hints of a goading smirk.
探偵の仕事は隠密をもって良しとするからね。
なんだかかっこいいんだね。
そうでもないさ。ほとんどは泥にまみれる仕事だよ。
探偵さんが言うと眼蓄あるよ。わかりました、時坂先生。
Good. It seemed I'd gotten through to her. That'd be a huge load off my
ところ
mind.
で朽木さん、
ああ、ダメだよ先生。
Toko held up her hand before I could get another word in.
どうこと呼んでくれたまえ。そちらの方が好きだから。
前にそんなことも言っていたね。
She said that she thought her name was a perfect fit for her.
よく覚えているね。さすが探偵さんだ。
だからそれは秘密でお願いしたいんだが。
分かっているさ、時坂先生。
A shout roared from a nearby clubhouse. Let me guess, it's gonna be fucking Toko. I turned to find a girl stampeding our way like a madman.
どこ？
Toko casually addressed the girl in question. That must have been the friend she'd mentioned earlier.
大丈夫トコ？
Man, I fucking hate Toko, bro. Get her out of here, bro. I'm so tired. We've literally only had, this is our second interaction with her, and I'm already fucking over this bitch. The girl raced over to Toko and grabbed her by the shoulders as if to pull her into a hug.
心配いらないよ、トウコ。別に取って食われるわけじゃない。彼は先生だ。
でも
The girl glanced at me. Her eyes burned with hostility. Oh boy, what have I gotten myself into?
失礼しました先生。
Suddenly, the girl gave me a little bow. That gesture was just like the other students, completely lacking in individuality. Maybe it was because I was playing a teacher.
2年の水原トコです。時坂先生でしたよね。ゆかりさんのお兄さんで探偵の。
ああ、そうなんだけれど、そのことは周りには伏せておいてもらえるかな。
え？兄弟だと気づかれちゃダメなんですか？
いや、そっちじゃなくて。
探偵と気づかれるのがいけないようだよ。何でも事件の調査中らしいからね。
じゃあ西園さんがいなくなったことを。
まあそういうことだね。
I didn't want people knowing the particulars of my job, but there wasn't really any point in playing dumb when she'd already figured that much out.
学生たちを不安にさせたくないからね。黙っていてくれると助かる。
はい、わかりました。
I wasn't expecting her to be so agreeable, but it was best not to look a gift horse in the mouth.
それにしても同じ名前なんだね。
いけませんか？
Though her voice was level, she was glaring daggers at me again.
いけないはずがないさ。同じ名前の親友なんて何か運命的なものを感じないかい？
Toko amiably draped her arm around Toko's shoulder.
私たちは一心同体の存在なんです。
Toko muttered that as if to back up Toko's claim. Fucking creep. Jesus Christ. We're two hearts beating as one. Alright, Toko. More like Freako. I don't know. I mean, like, obviously there's something really off about Toko. Would I go as far as to say that she's the one behind the murders and all that? Nah. It feel like... Nah, I don't think I'd go that far. At least not yet. I mean, sure, maybe they could throw something at us that might suggest that even further. But I think she's just fucking weird. There's clearly some kind of importance that she's gonna play here, either to aid or to hinder our investigation, which I'm gonna go ahead and, you know, throw it out there that I think she's probably gonna be a hindrance to our investigation. But I guess we'll have to find out. It was evening already. There was still a ton I wanted to look into today. Unfortunately, most of the students had seemingly gone home. Or maybe they were just so quiet that I didn't even notice them. Anyway, where to? Ah! Let's see, what do we got? So we got the Girls Academy now. Moon World, Inokashita Park, Shinjuku, or the Takashido Clinic. I mean, I don't really feel a need to stick around here. I think all we'd really find is maybe another interaction with Toko, probably another interaction with Yukari. I'd like to go to Moon World, but that's just so that we could see Yoko. Or is her name Koyo? Koyori? Or Yoko? I can't check it here, but you know, to see I kind of want to go to Takashito Clinic. I'm not sure if they're the ones that are looking into the details of the other body, but I am kind of tempted to see it if they are. I'm gonna go ahead and save just in case. I arrived at the Takashito Clinic in Takadanobaba. Wow, I fucking nailed that. Holy fuck. Not for nothing, of course. I wouldn't have come without a good reason. Specifically, I was hoping Natsume would have new insight into the case. I could have just asked Uezomi, but that would have meant venturing all the way out to Sakura Dome. And frankly, I just couldn't bring myself to drop by my old workplace. That, plus the fact that unlike Uezomi, Natsume usually did stay in the same place. Though it didn't change the fact that coming here was like diving into a snake pit.
何さっきからブツブツ言ってるん？人ん
God,
ち
why
の
are
前
all
で。
women in this game so fucking hot?
わ、夏目さん。
It looked like she'd seen me agonizing over whether to take the plunge or not.
ちょうどええわ。時坂はん、しゅうちゃんにあれ渡しといてくれた？
The goods? She must have meant the package.
ええ、渡しておきましたよ。
どんな反応しとった？
カズナさんが味噌田楽にして食べていました。
さすがカズナはんやね。感心するわ。
Natsume was guffawing so hard that tears leaked out of her eyes. This is the woman who brings riots everywhere she goes.
おもろかったわ。最近会うてへんけど相変わらずやんね。
会ってないんですか？
せやん。今度しゅうちゃんに会ったらたまには顔見せ言うといてくれへん？
Why can't you just go yourself? His place isn't even an hour away or anything. Too much of a hassle. Tell him yourself. Did you get on his bad side? Did you get on his bad side?
嫌われてるんじゃないですか？
Though, if I had to guess, it was more likely he was just as lost as dealing with her as I was.
そんな傷つくわ。
Natsume overdramatically flopped to the ground, weeping like the heroine at the end of a Greek tragedy. I was worried about her making a scene in broad daylight, but no one even batted an eye. They must have been used to her bizarre antics by now.
それにしてもやね。いっつもおらへんちゅうことはそんなに忙しいの？
Natsume got up just as quickly as she'd fallen.
そう思っていいんじゃないですか？
My guess was that he was only pretending not to be home, but I decided to keep that to myself.
ああ、そうだ。夏目さんに渡したいものがあったんですよ。
I took the two photos out from my notebook.
なんや、時坂はんはこんな若い子が好きや
Okay,
の？
Natsume.
違います。別に調べている件で行方不明になっている2人の女学生です。
I like Natsume. She's probably one of my favorite characters so far.
ほー。
Natsume's eyes narrowed.
仏はんと照合すればええの？西園由はんと今村遥はん。
ええ、お願いできますか？
問題あらしまへんえ。こっちも手詰まりやったさかい、情報は多いほどええねん。
では、よろしくお願いします。
I'd rather neither of them turn out to be the Jane Doe if possible. But on the other hand, part of me also hoped this would finally clarify what happened to the missing girls. Alright, awesome. That's exactly what I wanted to have happen. Well, not exactly, but that's going to be some good progress. I mean, surely at the very least, because I think they mentioned with the other girl we could at least get dental records. So we'll hopefully be able to identify them via dental records and at least have an idea of, if they are connected, and then we'll hopefully start being able to build a kind of timeline of what's been going on since then. Because clearly everything's leading to Oba Girls Academy kind of being not necessarily a catalyst, but definitely a target point for whoever this killer is, because they seem to have an obsession with young girls, purity, yada yada yada. And it's kind of interesting because they mentioned that. Here, can I bring up that list again? I might have to. Oh, here we go. So we finally have pictures of them. Awesome. Nene, supposedly Togo's friend. I like how he put supposedly. But yeah, no, so I completely just lost my train of thought. Yeah, no, so come on, think. They seem to be a target point for this murderer. They seem to have an obsession with purity, yada yada yada. Okay, so it seems like our victim here, Kei Koizumi, when they were in that little cutscene where we saw that they were chopping her up, they said something about like, oh, you used to be like so pure and you threw it away or something along those lines, right? So it's a pretty stereotypical, motive. It's kind of like a Jack the Ripper situation where he only goes after prostitutes because they're impure and, whatever, yada, yada, yada. So it's a pretty stereotypical line of thought to go through, but I think that's kind of where this is heading. So it kind of raises the question, what's their MO for targeting victims, right? Because it doesn't really seem like they're just choosing whoever they can get their hands on. There has to be some kind of connection between all these girls. But it is good that we have some faces to put to the characters. Yui looks a lot like one of the characters from Corpse Party. She looks a lot like one of the characters from Corpse Party. Oh, and she's an art club member. That's good information. Okay, where to next? Let's see. I kind of want to go to Moon World, personally. Obergirls Academy. I just don't feel like right now we're gonna get much else from Oba. I think it's best to wait until tomorrow when we actually give our lecture and everything to kind of take some more action. Then I think doing that and also just waiting to hear back from Natsume is probably gonna be the best bet. We're gonna go to Moon World. I arrived at Moon World. I'd been hoping to take a little break from work, but unfortunately, don't tell me they're closed. The closed sign was hung from around the door handle. So much for that break. Oh well, I'll just swing by another time. Oh. Suddenly, my ears rang with Kyoko's shrieks the moment I turned to leave. Kyoko burst through the door and clung to me. Oh shit, did a burglar break in? I shielded Kyoko behind me and raised my fists. A figure slowly slithered out from the shadows of the cafe, revealing...
Kyoko-san, どこ行ったんですか?
Alright, that's it, Amemiya, throwing hands!
Tokisaka-san, こんにちは.
What'd you say? Please stop running away and help me organize everything already. I'm begging you, show mercy, Hatsune. I pushed Kyoko over to Hatsune, who was making an adorable effort to look intimidating with her hands on her hips.
ちょっとTokisaka-kun.
また京子が片付けを逃げ出したんだろ
う。はい、そうなんです。
Hatsune and I heaved where he sighs as one.
だって仕方ないじゃない。苦手なものは苦手なんだから。
Kyoko sulked, her cheeks slightly inflated.
だからってこのままじゃいけないと思うんです。
The counter and tables were flooded with plates and utensils. Apparently, they'd closed up shop for the day to do some spring cleaning. So Kyoko had tried to use my arrival as an excuse to flee, but Hatsune wouldn't let her off the hook so easily.
整理整頓はきちんとするべきだと思うぞ。
I scolded her, fully aware I was the pot calling the kettle black. Kyoko hated cleaning as much as I did. More specifically, she'd leave stuff in random places, making them hard to find when she actually needed them again. A sign of laziness in most people, while a troubling flaw for a business owner.
何よ、時坂くんだってゆかりちゃんがいないとダメなくせに。
俺はちゃんと読んだ本は元のところに戻しているぞ。
時坂くんの場合は本だけじゃない。もうそんなこと言い合っていないで手を動かしてください、京子さん。はーい。
Kyoko reluctantly got back on her feet.
よかったな。しっかりした子が入って。
この子っておとなしそうに見えて結構完璧主義のところがあるのよね。
Kyoko grumbled as she slowly sorted the plates by group and piled them on top each other.
接客業だから当たり前だろ。
そうですよ。京子さんはそういういい加減なところを直してくれれば完璧なんですから。せっかくの美人さんが台無しですよ。
I feel you, Kyoko. Keep up the good fight. Real. I kicked back and slouched on the sofa after dinner.
初めての学院はいかがでしたか？
Yukari joined me when she'd finished cleaning up.
そうだな。みんなおとなしいんだな。
I decided not to beat around the bush.
そうですね。別段騒ぎ立てるような方はいませんね。
校則が厳しいからか？
私は特にそうは思いませんけれど、中にはそう感じている方もいるようで。
Yukari suddenly stopped short.
どうした？
これは学院の教師としての質問ですか？
いや、探偵としての調査だよ。
妹の底を案じている兄としてではなく？
今さらお前の底を心配することもないだろ
う。信頼されているのですね、私は。
Yukari beamed.
友人が校則を破っていることを知りつつも黙っている悪い人ですよ。
そうなのか？
内緒です。
I wasn't surprised she had a secret or two. She was still in school for crying out loud. But never would I have taken her for an enabler.
危険なことだけはするなよ。
心配せずとも大丈夫ですよ。
Yukari nodded, gentle smile on her face.
そういや、ゆかりは朽木塔子という学生を知っているか？
ええ、もちろん同じ部活ですから。
Yukari answered immediately with the puzzled cock of the head.
朽木さんがどうかしましたか？
いや、なんでもないんだが、お前も美術部だったのか？
Now that was the real surprise.
ええ、知らなかったんですか？
てっきり昆虫部か何かだとばかり思っていた。
どんな活動をするんですか？
My sister sighed, clearly exasperated.
まあ、それはどうでもいいとして。
朽木さんですか？そうですね。悪い方ではありませんよ。
そりゃそうだ。でも変わってるよな。
他の方とは全く違う印象を受けますよね。どこか達観しているというか、嫌われているわけではありませんけれど。
水原塔子さんだっけ？
水原さんですか？確かに朽木さんとよく一緒にいるのを見かけますが。
Yukari regarded me suspiciously.
兄さんが調べている件に何か関わりが？
いや、赴任したばかりの講師としての質問だよ。
まあ、都合のいいことばかり言うんですね。
She chuckled. Yeah, Toku's a weird one. Oh shit. Oh shit. Okay, here we go. Hold up. A girl was sleeping. She was sprawled across a desk, blanketed in a white sheet. Her slender body, naked as the day she was born, drew smooth curves with each breath. The girl's dangling left leg was hoisted up. Perfect. This will do nicely. With the knowledge that damage had to be avoided, the wrapping of a jet black cloth around the girl's left leg commenced, only to cease after a mole in her left calf was spotted. I must cut it out. No, I'll leave a scar if I do. I hate to do this, but I'll just have to give up on this one. The cloth was tugged off with vexation. Through the leg's length and musculature were ideal. Not even the smallest of blemishes could be permitted. What about the right leg? No, the shape of that toenail is utterly revolting. An inspection of her right arm followed. It barely had any muscle on it, was supple, and best of all, had perfectly sized fingers. I'll take this one. And with that, the black jet cloth was encased around its new home. The girl didn't wake up. No surprise there. Not after her veins had been pumped with morphine. The dosage had been nigh fatal, but that wouldn't be an issue. All right, here I go. A sharp hatchet was set against her shoulder, then ferociously swung down. The girl's body jounced and spurted fresh blood. Her severed right arm was caught before it fell to the floor. It flopped as wildly as a giant fish reeled up from the sea. The girl convulsed in spite of her subdued consciousness and senses. Her right arm was carefully placed in another desk. Moments later, the air flooded with the flippant of pages. Time for the hard part. After restraining the girl's jostling upper body, gloved hands seized her head and twisted it in one savage motion. Oh god. Let me crack my back. Alright, well, thanks for that. However, it did not go as smoothly as wringing a washcloth. Her cervical vertebrae grated against each other with a stomach-churning pop, while air and muddy blood surged out of her crushed throat. Once her head had been contorted a full 180 degrees, it was fixed in place with weights on her ears. The girl had already breathed her last, but that was of no concern. There was still work to be done, after all. Footsteps resounded off the walls as a kitchen knife circled round to the body's lower half, wielded with malice. The impure organ had to be purged. Yep, there it is again, impure organ. Skin was flayed as a knife's blade eviscerated the girl from the navel down. Crimson bubbles of blood loudly popped to the surface. With experience from the prior murder serving as a guide, the knife accurately sliced open the girl's abdomen with little to no wasted movement, leaving her uterus vulnerable. That white lump was carelessly tossed in a random direction, a black egg promptly taking its place. It was the symbol of her shame. The egg was crushed with a tranquil fury. Next, the wound was stitched until the abdomen was sealed once more. All that's left is to dispose of... Oh right, how careless of me. She must shed tears of blood first. Ravenous eyes danced about before catching sight of the weapon of choice. A sharp pointed awl. Just stick this in her eye and she'll be crying blood for sure. If there wasn't enough blood, a stab in the back was all that'd be needed to complete the effect. Thus the empty shell's eye was widened, followed by the squelch of the awl sinking into it. Okay. Well, this game certainly does not hold back on the gruesome details. Okay. Hold up. I think let's just take a second here. So that girl had ponytails. If we're going to our Vix, I mean, if I had to guess, I'd say Yui, but we didn't get a good look at her face, and none of these girls have ponytails. All right. So. Alright, I'm kind of theorizing here. With, where's her name? With Kay, they chopped off the left arm. With whoever this girl that we just saw was, they were looking to chop off the leg, didn't because of a mole or something, and then ended up chopping off the right arm. Huh. So, it kind of sounds as though they're collecting body parts. But, let's go to our evidence list real quick. Cloth wrapped around cemetery corpse. Here we go. Torso wasn't found. The vital reactions detected in the cut surfaces of the head and legs. Two-week old maggots on corpse. Yada yada yada. Someone's sticking out of the fire. Signs of sexual intercourse detected, then appeared. Oh wait, no, however, it does not appear to have been a rape homicide. Okay. Arms, leg, and head found. Okay, well there you go. The arms, leg, and head was found, but the torso was missing. So it's possible that we're getting these murders in maybe kind of a random order, potentially. So the way I'm kind of theorizing it is like this. Victim 1 here, the torso is missing. K was missing her left arm, or at least we saw that her left arm was chopped off. Then this girl that we saw just now had her right arm removed. So I think they're collecting body parts. And then the fact that sexual intercourse was detected, but it wasn't rape. So maybe that's why, and that would make perfect sense why they would go with the whole, oh, let me remove the impure organ. So it wouldn't really be such a stretch to me to think that he's targeting, well, I assume it's a guy, but to assume that they're targeting these girls based on their purity. In this, obviously, in the stereotypical case of their sexual virginity, right? So it kind of makes me curious with all of these other bodies if there would have been sexual intercourse detected. Signs of sexual... Okay, so victim 2, which was the burned corpse, had sexual intercourse detected. With the victim 1 corpse, though, we wouldn't be able to tell because the torso was missing, is the thing. So it kind of makes me curious, maybe victim 1 was a virgin, right? If they're so obsessed with purity, yet they seem to be collecting body parts, it kind of makes sense to me that they wouldn't collect the torso of somebody who had had sex. But then again, they removed the uterus, so maybe to them that in and of itself is cleansing the sin or the impurity. This one was fucking brutal as well. Fucking basically overdosed her on morphine, chopped her arm off, and then fucking broke her neck. I mean, good fucking lord, man. And then again, this whole thing with cutting open the uterus, ripping it out, and then replacing it with an egg. Although in this case, it had been a cracked egg. They very specifically said that it was cracked. Excuse me. Uterus was removed, stitched up. This one doesn't say anything about the egg. Let's see. The black egg. Pieces of a black eggshell found. Okay, so it was broken as well. So the cracked egg is their MO. Yeah, I think that's kind of what we've got so far. There's somebody specific. This is kind of my theory so far. We have somebody specifically targeting girls from Oba Girls Academy that they deem as impure in the sense of virginity. They then kidnap these girls, cherry pick body parts to supposedly collect, butcher the rest, and throw it out, or at least make some kind of symbol of it. Or maybe their disposal of it is evolving as we speak. Maybe initially they just chopped it up, wrapped it in cloth, threw it in a lake. Then they got a little bit more creative, a little bit more confident, buried it, lit the foot on fire. You know, there could be a progression to their how do you say, to their positioning of the corpses and all that. So I think that's kind of where we're headed with this. So I'm pretty confident in what I've got so far, but obviously we're missing a lot of pieces to this. Yukiko Miyama. Yukiko, I think, was our fiance. Yeah, formerly engaged. So there's a lot of pieces missing still. Obviously, I mean, we've just started the game, but I think we're gonna go ahead and end it off on this one right here. So we're gonna go ahead and save. Bang. Exit to title screen. So I think with that little scene that we got there, as fucking gruesome as it was, we got a lot of good information. I think we are finally starting to piece together some of the killer's motives, some of the killer's habits. And again, another piece that I'd kind of like to specify is that, or I'd like to highlight, is the fact that they said, like, oh, with the first murder as reference. So clearly they're not experienced with what they're doing, right? They're crazy enough to do it, but it doesn't seem as though they're, like, oh yeah, this, I've practiced this. So they're not like a doctor or anything, clearly. Even with like snapping the neck, the way that they describe doing it, it seems as though they like looked it up in a book, how to snap a neck, did it, or like, oh wow, I didn't know it would do that. That was a lot more difficult to do than I thought it would be. So they're new to all this. But I mean, it's really interesting. I love games like this. I love games like this. I love games like this. I love shows like this. I love movies like this. You get to piece it together yourself. So there's that, and then obviously just fucking, there's something going on with Toko, the short-haired Toko, the weird Toko, the fucking obsessed with Toko, right? There's something going on with her, and she's so weird, and I don't know, she doesn't sit right with me. She just doesn't sit right. I'd also like to say that in the last episode, I believe, I was talking about whether the girl that we would get occasional voiceovers from, if that was Toko or not. One of you pointed out that it was in fact Toko, which, hey, all right, I get it, all right, it's Toko. Anyways, but yeah, no, so then obviously there's the other, both Tokos are fucking weird, okay? Both Tokos are fucking little creepy freak weirdos that don't sit right with me. Anyways, that's gonna be it for this time. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure to leave a like on the video and tell me in the comment section below what you'd like to see me play next. If you enjoyed this video or any other videos or series on my channel, then I highly recommend that you hit the subscribe button and turn on post notifications so you'll be notified when any one of those videos comes out. Anyways, that's it from me, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace!